Hey, this week on Pizza Hut Huskies All Access, we're at Husky practice. It's raining. How fitting after the Huskies' Week 1 loss to Manitoba. We're going to revisit the homecoming game and check out the highlights. The outsiders are away, so in their place, pinch hitting, John Fraser from CJWW and Husky Game Day broadcasts. And we'll also tee up the Huskies' Week 2 matchup and take a quick peek around the rest of the Canada West. It's all ahead on Pizza Hut Huskies All Access. Well, hello and welcome inside the Graham Construction Husky Clubhouse. I'm Darren DuPont for Pizza Hut Huskies All Access. You'll notice the outsiders are away, and this is John Fraser from CJWW and Husky Game Day broadcast. Pitching in, appreciate it. Always a pleasure to have you on, John.
Hey, not a problem. You even got me down here on one of my days off, Darren. So I must really like you or really like the program or something.
We've got a great program planned. We'll get to the highlights here momentarily, but just your opening thoughts on the Huskies game against Manitoba, homecoming game. Always exciting. Weather, though, wasn't pleasant, and neither was the end result on the field.
No, I think in talking to head coach Brian Towers, post-game, talking to him a little bit at practice this week, and talking to quarterback Drew Burko, everybody admitted mistakes were made, and you could see that. How often is Drew Burko going to throw 4 interceptions? He had 8 all of last season, throws 4 in that game. I'm not putting this all on Drew. I'm not putting all those interceptions on Drew Burko. He did make mistakes. He owns up to that. He's a veteran guy, and he's going to bounce back. BT and Burko both said, but positives were made. Look how often they drove the field. I mean, it was just missed opportunities is what it came down to against Manitoba. They were in the red zone countless times and couldn't finish them off. So I'm glad to see around practice this week. The mood seems to be light, seems to be, okay, guys, we're going to be okay. This isn't the NCAA where one loss kills the rest of your year.
Yeah, it would be a lot different story if we didn't see those positives. I mean, that opening drive, the Huskies were pinpoint accurate, and it just seemed like a hot knife through butter. But let's go to those highlights now, and let's go back to homecoming night and the Huskies' season opener against the visiting Manitoba Bisons. And the Huskies getting started early. Opening play from scrimmage. Drew Burko to the right. He finds John Trumpy for a 30-yard pickup on the opening play from scrimmage. And then 2 plays later, it's Burko from near midfield, airing it out for Mitch Hillis. Hillis taken down at the 1-yard line. The Huskies offense is firing on all cylinders early. And just a couple of plays later, Kyle Siemens on the quarterback keeper makes it 7-0 for the Huskies. Great start. Now 11-0, and the Bisons looking to answer. Teo Dizar taking over for Jordan Yance. He finds Jesse Walker down to the 3-yard line as the Bisons looking to answer. Now it's going to be Cameron Fox in the handoff. He cuts up to the middle and finds the end zone. Great job by Cameron Fox. A running back by committee to start for the Bisons, and Fox moving to the right. He cuts it back towards the middle and finds the end zone. 11-7 for the Dogs. Now the Bisons punting, and it's Joel Puig back to return the punt at his 45. He moves to the middle, dances around a couple, and takes off down the sidelines. Big return for the Huskies, setting them up in great field position. Check out Brian Giebert. He's pumped on the sidelines. Yeah. And that'll set up this. It's Burko on play action. He'll find Bryden Osmond down the left-hand side, taken down inside the 10-yard line. And then the QB, Burko, once more. He's going to move to his right, and he'll find Mitch Hillis. Hillis trying to find the end zone. He'll be taken down right at the 1-yard line. And then Kyle Siemens looking for his second major. If you check out the second effort, it looks like Siemens has broken the plane here. You'll see the second effort, but they called the play short right here. It looks like he's in clearly, but they've called a turnover on downs. Cue the Huskies defense, because next play, Bison's taking over. It's Teo Dizar, flushed from the pocket. He's flushed out, looks like he's going to pull back to pass, taken down, and throws it away, but he's called for intentional grounding. That's a safety for the Huskies. Now on the punt return, it's not the last time you'll hear this name, and Jamel Lyles. Lyles picking it up, dancing to the right. He's off to the races. Lots of room across midfield and down near the 40-yard line. Big return for Jamel Lyles, but the drive would stall. Now Burko rolling out with the handoff, and there goes Tyler Chow. Chow scampering down the right-hand side and showing that he's got his burst of speed that we saw towards the end of last season, setting the Huskies up in great field position. Now Burko finding Tevin Godfrey, and Godfrey moves to the middle, and he'll find the end zone. The Huskies extend the lead 20-7. Godfrey, his first career CIS touchdown, and the Huskies up on top, extending that lead. Now Teo Dizar looking to answer. He's going to step back, and he's just going to throw this one up for Alex Vitt. And Vitt, with two Huskies around him, survives the contact as well. And it's 20-14 now for the Huskies. Chow makes his way down inside the 5-yard line as the Huskies right back on the doorstep. Burko will look to add to the lead here in the red zone after the great run by Tyler Chow, and Drew Burko steps down the middle, looking into the middle, but a great athletic play from Tyler Fong. The kid survived the scare, slipping off a rock and falling down a waterfall this spring. Well, welcome back, Tyler Fong. Interception, stalling the Huskies' drive. Now remember Jamel Lyles? Here he is again. Jamel Lyles taking the handoff from the shotgun, and he's going to slip right through the line, down past the 20, and nobody's going to catch Jamel Lyles. It's 24-22 late in the half. The Huskies looking to answer before halftime, late in the half. Drew Burko across the middle, finding Julian Lynch, and Lynch all the way down to the 11-yard line. The Huskies are knocking at the door, so Burko trying to find the end zone here. Looking to the right and finding nobody but Eric Plett, the interception for the Bisons, and it's the second pick of the half for Drew Burko. 28-24 now as we fast forward to the fourth quarter. And this is Dizar throwing it up and follow the bouncing ball, and Lorenzo Ihanza followed it perfectly. Watch this as it bounces off a couple of players, a Husky, a Bison, and right into the lap of Ihanza, and it's the Bisons extending that lead now. As we move to the final 5 minutes, Bison's looking to put the nail in the coffin, but Chris Friesen, the interception for the Huskies, and they've got life, giving the ball back to that Huskies offense with less than 5 minutes to go. But they can't convert, so the Bisons get the ball back, and then it's Fox putting it on the ground. I think it was Donovan Dale causing the fumble. The Huskies have the ball back now late in this game, less than 2 minutes to go. And the Huskies driving, finding Osmond. And now Lynch moving the chains. Minute 32 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Next play, Burko running out of options. Looking, and throws his third interception of the ball game. Looking for John Trumpy, and it looks to be over. But the Dogs get the ball back with 40 seconds to go. That's a heartbreaking interception, but 40 seconds left. Huskies have the ball. Incompletion on the first play. Second play looking for Trumpy, and it's picked off. 4 Bisons in the vicinity, and the fourth interception of the ball game for Drew Burko. That will seal it. Huskies drop the ball game 34-28.
When it counted the most were the Manitoba Bison.
Pizza Hut's great-tasting pizzas are the perfect addition to any game day. Order one of our delicious pizzas today. Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Welcome back inside the Graham Construction Husky Clubhouse to Pizza Hut Huskies All Access. I'm Darren DuPont, and the Huskies with that Week 1 loss to the Manitoba Bisons on homecoming game. We've got John from CJWW alongside, and John, your overall thoughts on what we saw just before the break.
Well, there's bright spots in it. It's not like we can all say the sky is falling here as far as the U of S is concerned. It's safe to say that there were a lot of positives. They were able to move the ball effectively. The defense put up 2 safeties in the first half. When was the last time you ever saw a defense put up 2 safeties in the first half? They looked really good. It just seemed to be they lacked the, I don't know if it's killer instinct, because talking to head coach Brian Towers, he says it was not an effort thing with this team. It was just they get down to the red zone and something would happen, whether it be an incomplete pass or the goal line stop on 3rd and 1, or pardon me, 3rd and goal from the 1. It just, things didn't seem to go their way. And I mean, the highlight of things not going their way for the Huskies was definitely when a pass goes off a receiver's hands, off of 2 defensive backs in Beckler and Friesen, and directly in the hands of another Manitoba receiver who runs it 57 yards for a touchdown. That's when you know that maybe you're just not getting the bounces. I talked to our color commentator, Barclay Schlosser, after the game, and Barclay said it best. The Huskies did not get a bounce that entire game.
Yeah, John, a lot of the talk coming out of training camp was about Drew Burkle, the starting quarterback, and just how good of a camp and a preseason he's had, the work he's put in throughout the offseason. We've heard that from Brian Towers and from Scott Flory, among others. A bit of a disappointing start to the season. Obviously, he's disappointed. Your thoughts on the plays of the Huskies starting pivot?
Well, yeah, you're right, Darren. He was disappointed in his performance. I can tell you that for sure. I mean, he said to us this week at practice, I know I made mistakes, but I know I can be better. We're going to get better for the Alberta game. He looked at the positives as well. You know, he said he could move the ball well. He thought the offense as a whole did good. And you can't put all 4 of those interceptions on Drew Burkle. The one he threw into the end zone, I know a lot of people are blaming him. You could tell, though, from my spot on the sidelines, it was a 3-step drop, which in the Scott Flory offense, 9 times out of 10 means it's a timing route. And the receiver just wasn't in the right spot. Drew threw to where he was supposed to be, and he wasn't there. Now, people are kind of talking about the biggest mistake that Drew might have made was holding on to the ball a little bit too long on the 3rd interception. Drew knows he can't make that mistake. He's a 4th-year quarterback. He's watched the film. He's going to own up to his mistakes, and he's going to correct them. And yeah, I'd rather see Drew, make mistakes that he knows he can fix and is capable of fixing now than in a playoff game when the season's on the line. So a disappointing start for sure for Drew Burkle. He's a smart kid. He's a good kid, and he's just going to get better from here on out. And he knows it. He owned his mistakes.
So in this game, what did we learn about the Manitoba Bisons?
Well, we all thought that Manitoba was going to be suffering losses without Jordan Yance and Nick Dembski, and I don't think that happened. Their new quarterback was better than advertised coming in his first year as a starter. On top of that, that Manitoba defensive line is going to be scary good. They're essentially the same defense as last year, and they seem to be giving the Huskies troubles in the second half. Tyler Chow was having a bit of a hard time running against that line. They seem to be putting pressure on Drew Burkle and keeping his receivers covered. So I know a couple guys along the offensive line for the Huskies were a little nicked up in that game, but that D-line for Manitoba and that whole defense is impressive, and that big strike ability has not been lost for the Manitoba Bisons. Lynch, the running back, a true freshman coming out of high school. Brian Doby said he still did some high school things, where you can't run it outside all the time when you're in CIS. The guys are just too good, but he was already the Canada West Offensive Player of the Week in his debut, and I think Manitoba is a better team than a lot of people are giving them credit for. I still consider them, Calgary and Saskatchewan, might be the top 3 programs in Can West this year.
Okay, John. A lot of fans leaving disappointed, obviously, from Griffith Stadium Friday night. There was big expectations around this team, and there still is. What can fans expect, or can you kind of calm the nerves of fans? What's your message to the Husky Nation?
I'm going to quote Sid Sixero from Sportsnet on this one. Make a relax, everybody. Manitoba is one of the best teams in the country. The Huskies, as you've heard BT said, had a chance to win this football game. They had some bounces not go that way, and that's going to happen. You're going to lose games you probably should have won, and on the other hand, there are going to be games that you probably should have lost that you're going to win over the course of a football season. I know, Can West only being 8 games, everybody's going to worry, but I think you could probably finish 5-3 this year and still get yourself a home playoff date. Are you going to be hosting all the way to the Hardy Cup? Probably not. Can the Huskies still run the table from here? Absolutely they can. They proved that they have the talent, just didn't quite get the breaks. They shot themselves in the foot, some penalties, some of the mistakes they made offensively and defensively. But from here, everybody just relax. Things are going to be fine. It was an ugly night in some aspects. I think I jinxed the team by pointing out they hadn't lost the home opener since 2002. So you can blame me on this one. I make a good scapegoat for the fans here, Darren.
Well, you've heard from the two of us. Now let's head down to field level as the Huskies get back to work this week, getting prepared for Alberta. And Brian Towers and Drew Burko met with the media on Monday.
We just made too many mistakes. There's a couple times I know I made a lot of mistakes that game. We also did a lot of good things, but yeah, there's just kind of some balls I tried to force in there. I know we're getting into the game. We didn't really have much of a rhythm going, so it was just a combination of a lot of things.
I think it was pretty obvious. I mean, we had countless opportunities in the first half, and I think we were 8 times in the red zone and 2 touchdowns, and that's just not enough. And 3 or 4 turnovers in the red zone, you're not going to win any football games doing that. And having said that, in the last 2 minutes, we still had a chance to drive the field to win, and so we did a lot of things right, but we just made too many mistakes, and those are the things we got to correct.
We moved the ball well. I don't know our total offensive stats and stuff, but we did move the ball, so I think we can take a couple positives in that.
Well, we moved the ball all over the place in the first quarter. I mean, and our special teams set us up twice. I mean, we had a block punt, we had a punt return down inside, and those are the ones you got to get in the end zone. Twice we had penalties take us out of the red zone. Once we got a field goal out of it. We had 2 turnovers for sure, 2 interceptions in the end zone. They stopped us on the goal line. I mean, the game, we could have 35 points in the first half, and that would have been a total different football game then. And you can't let good teams hang around, and that's what we did. And eventually, their offense wore our defense down.
We just, like I said earlier, we just didn't get into a rhythm. It was tough. We didn't get any first down yardage, which is a big thing. We were having trouble running the ball sometimes, and even on our first down passes, I wasn't completing a lot of them. So a lot of that stuff combined, we were in second and long. They can kind of do a lot of things that they were doing to stop second and long, so that's what we were game planning to stay out of. And we didn't do that, so that's how they kind of slowed us down. And then just after a couple 2-and-outs, we had no rhythm. Our defense was on the field for a long time. So
we said from week 1, I mean, he's a 4th-year quarterback now. We're looking for consistency, and they made a couple outstanding plays. But I also know that there's 2 or 3 throws that he would like to have back, whether misreads or indecision on his part, that kind of thing. So he. Again, consistency, that's one thing we've talked about, and for us to take the next step, that's what we have to do. Well, from a confidence perspective, you like to get that first win, and but we did play pretty well. In fact, we played really well with the 2 preseason opportunities that we had. But going into Alberta is not going to be any piece of cake. They won. They're 1-0 for the first time in how many years? We said that today. But I also told these guys, the defending Vanier Cup champions are 0-1 right now, and we can't look 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the road. We just have to play this football game. We got to get ready for Alberta. We got to go 1-0 this week, and then worry about week 2 or week 3 when week 3 comes.
Pizza Hut's great-tasting pizzas are the perfect addition to any game day. Order one of our delicious pizzas today. Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Well, we're inside the Husky clubhouse. Darren Dupont, John Fraser. And, John, we've already talked about the Manitoba game and homecoming week. We've got Alberta. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. This is a little one-on-one. Get inside your head. This is a big season. I mean, it's the first season. The Huskies are on the radio now on CJWW. Just talk about what that means.
Well, it means you can actually hear the broadcast when you're actually in Griffith Stadium. No offense to the other guys, but you can hear us on your way to the game. You can hear us on your way from the game. We got a great Pizza Hut pregame show on 600 CJWW that starts before every game, home and road, an hour before kickoff as well. We got full postgame coverage, so on your way to the game, flip it on your way home. And if you really want to go that much further, really see what's happening on the field, you can flip on us on a portable radio or on our Saskatoon Media Group app while you're sitting in the stands. And I know for me it's personally exciting. I've been covering this team now. This is my 3rd year covering the team. So being actually to be able to be on the sidelines and be a part of the broadcast is an absolute huge thrill for me. I know our play-by-play guy, Dave Thomas, is over the moon, along with our color commentator, Barclay Schlosser, a former member of the Huskies. He played defensive back. We like to always remind him he's got the hands of a defensive back. But all 3 of us extremely excited to be part of the radio broadcast and the home of the Huskies.
Well, you've been around this team already, but now you've got an expanded role on game day, right down on the sidelines. It's got to be pretty cool being down there amongst the players, amongst the game, and being able to deliver that back to all the fans.
Really is, Darren. It's an absolute thrill to be able to be right in the action, right on the Huskies sideline, standing right beside head coach Brian Towers and Scott Flora, the offense coordinator, Ed Carlton, the defensive coordinator. I get to talk to those guys right at halftime, right after the game, get to really see the conversation that goes on between the players. For me, it's just a thrill. I really wish we'd have some better weather, because for the first two games against Laurier and against Manitoba, it's been raining, which is funny because, again, going on 3 years covering the team, those are the first bad weather games I can remember now that I am actually out on the sideline. So although I am wishing for better weather, it's an absolute pleasure to be down there.
So let's talk about this team. A lot of expectations, high expectations coming out of training camp. A lot of weapons on offense. Let's start there first. What kind of team do the Huskies have offensively? Obviously, a veteran quarterback, a talented receiving core, and they're deep at running back. I hope I didn't just take your answer, but what do these guys have to work with on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, you did kind of take my answer, Darren. That's basically what the team is. Lots of veteran receivers. Mitch Hillis, John Trumpy come to mind. Bryden Osmond always seems to just ball out on game day, as the kids these days are saying. To me, Mitch Hillis is going to be absolutely phenomenal of a receiver. Really bulked up this offseason, and he said it was one of the first off seasons he's been fully healthy and able to focus on training. The running back wealth is almost embarrassing between Tyler Chow, Johnson, along with Lalonde, all those guys, and led by quarterback Drew Burko. And even if something is to happen, if Burko is to miss a couple reps, don't forget behind him, Kyle Siemens is also a really, really good up-and-coming quarterback. The line is veteran. You got guys like Tex Bredner, Drew DeGoo on the offensive line, keeping those guys upright and keeping the run going. Just so many weapons offensively that they'll be able to pick teams apart if their defense goes to sleep at all.
Okay, John, how about the defensive side of the ball? There was a big hole in the defensive line when Timmy Agbaje left and went to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I think they did a pretty good job filling that hole on the defensive line. Talk about the Huskies' defense.
Well, defensively, Darren, you're right. You alluded to him. Donovan Dale, the big man in the middle of that defensive line, I should say, that is going to be giving offenses some nightmares in terms of if your line does not come to play, Donovan Dale is going to eat you alive. Braden Torinsky is another guy that everybody's real high on. In the secondary, too, you've really seen some guys kind of emerge. I know Chris Friesen had a great non-conference game. I thought that Beckler had a great game, the young man in the secondary against Manitoba. He was actually our defensive game star on CJWW. Got veteran guys like Kemp that patrol the middle. They've got lots of options as well on defense. They're a little bit younger on defense, but when you've got a two-time All-Canadian like Donovan Dale really to run that engine, they're going to be okay. That's going to make everything easier for them. Dale, to me, was just outstanding in the Manitoba game, and things are only going to go up from here. Really looking forward to see what the young Husky defense can do this season.
All right, we got one matchup to talk about a little bit later. That's the Alberta game on Friday. But it was great to be on the sidelines as well. We had Shaw and CJWW doing the game Friday. That's going to be the case again on the 18th, the next Husky home game. And you and I like to play a little pregame football down in the rally alley. So if we had a little pregame touch football between the two broadcast crews, break down that matchup for us.
Well, I can tell you, Darren, I think we'd have the distinct advantage because our broadcast team actually features a guy who played CIS football, and color commentator Barclay Schlosser as well. Dave Thomas played a little defensive back in high school, so I think defensively we'd be okay. I used to play a little receiver. Yeah, I know I don't look like it. I'm 5'8", and I got tiny little hands, but Dwayne, one of our broadcast techs, he throws a mean spiral. You've seen that in the rally alley before, so I think defensively you wouldn't stand a chance, and then me and Dwayne would make some magic happen, along with Curtis, our other engineer. He could do some blocking. Curtis is a big guy, looks like kind of a mean guy too. So I think, the decision goes to CJWW. I mean, you can go ahead and talk to Jimmy and the rest of the boys, but see, you're not allowed to have Jesse Lumsden because he wasn't here, so you're not allowed. I'll take my chances against you and Jim and Ray Morrison any day of the week.
Yeah, Jesse Lumsden, he would definitely help our case out for sure. But that's John Fraser from CJWW. We're going to have him on one more time to predict and look ahead to this week's matchup against the Alberta Golden Bears. That's still ahead here on Pizza Hut, Huskies All Access.
Pizza Hut's great tasting pizzas are the perfect addition to any game day. Order one of our delicious pizzas today. Pizza Hut, make it great.
Welcome back one final time here inside the Husky Clubhouse. Darren Dupont alongside John Fraser, here to tee up the Week 2 matchup against the Alberta Golden Bears.
Well, defensively, Darren, they forced 3 turnovers, 2 sacks against the Regina Rams and quarterback Noah Picton. I think Alberta has always been a sneaky good defensive team. Even look back a year ago, a lot of the same characters are back. When the Huskies needed overtime to beat the Alberta Golden Bears, this one might be tough. Drew Burko can have another game like he did last time, but I think the Huskies offensive line will get things going, get the run game established, and then Burke will be able to do what he does best, and that's play pitch and catch with guys like Mitch Hillis. I'm expecting the Huskies to win by at least 10 points, I would say.
Well, John's got the Huskies winning by 10 points in Alberta. Listen live to that game on CJWW Radio, 600 on your dial, or CJWWRadio.com. That's with Dave Thomas and Barclay Schlosser. So for John Fraser, for coming in, I'm Darren Dupont. Be sure to check us out on social media. These links down here, and we'll see you next week. Pizza Hut, Huskies, All Access.